So if you landed on this video, it's probably because you just installed DaVinci Resolve, you opened it up and you saw something look like this and you're like, what in the world is this? What's all these buttons and dials? Why is this so complicated? What am I, in an airplane cockpit? Well, in this video, I'm gonna show you how to get started. I'm gonna break it down and make it super simple and quick. And I'm basically gonna show you exactly how I taught my 9-year-old daughter to do it. So if she can do it, you guys can do it. But hey, if this is your first time stopping by my channel, my name is Jason Yudlowsky, and here on my channel, I make a lot of DaVinci Resolve content. So once you get through this and you get the basics of how to just start working in Resolve, definitely check out my channel. I'm gonna answer all the questions that you have. I got tons of videos to help you out. I also have a complete 2-hour plus, I think it's 2-hour plus, crash course link above here that you can go and watch that. And it's going to give you even more tips and tricks on how to work here in DaVinci Resolve. But if you just want the quick version, you're in the right spot. Now, if you do need some footage, I have a few files that I'm going to provide for you guys for free. That's right, for free. So check the link in the description below. You can download those files for free, follow along with us, and kind of get the hang of it. If you do want more files that you can edit with and play with and try, I do have files that you can purchase on my Shopify. I'll link to those in the description below. And I know I got a lot of energy here. I'm from Jersey. I get excited to make these videos. So kind of just how it is here on my channel. But anyway, let's jump into DaVinci Resolve and get you guys started working in Resolve and creating your first project. All right, first thing to know, DaVinci Resolve projects are stored in a database. So all your projects get stored in this database. It's not a big file. They don't take up a ton of space, but it is completely separate from your media files. So your media files, things like your videos, your photos, stuff like that, things you want to use in your project, your assets, those can be stored wherever you want. You can put them on your internal hard drive. You can put them on an external drive. You can do whatever you want. Now, there's a lot more to all this stuff, like I said, but I'm just going over quick stuff here so you can get started. So first thing, when we jump into Resolve here, you're going to get a window that looks like this. This is the project manager. And I believe this is what you're going to see the first time you open up DaVinci Resolve. So you may need to create a database. You can go over here and click Create New Database. You can put it on your internal drive. You want to make sure you keep it on your internal drive for best performance. So create your new database. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is just come on over here and hit New Project, and you're going to go ahead and create a new project. Name it whatever you want, and you're good to get started. Once you create your project, Resolve's going to open up, and we got a lot going on in here, right? We got the airplane cockpit. High-level view, let's talk about what's going on here. Taking a look at the screen, we've got several tabs down along the bottom of the screen over here. And these are the different tabs that you can jump into, and it's going to allow you to do different things in Resolve. Real quickly, we have the Media tab where you can bring in media and do different things with it. We have the Cut tab, which is one place that you can edit your videos. We've got the Edit tab, which is another tab where we can edit our videos and do a little bit more with them. We have the Fusion tab. Now, this is where you're going to be able to make cool 3D graphics, do all kinds of fancy things. For this video, we're not going to be getting into it, but that's where you can do that kind of stuff. The next tab we have here is the Color tab. This is where you can color grade your footage, change colors, match colors, do anything that has anything to do with color grading and looks for your image. The next tab we have is Fairlight. Now, Fairlight is awesome. It's a super robust audio editor. You can edit your audio for your videos right here in Resolve. You don't have to jump to another program. I love me some good audio, so I've got tons of audio videos if you're interested in making your audio sound awesome. And let's be honest, your video is important, but I think your audio might be more important, right? We can all watch a bad video with good audio, but if you got bad audio, it don't matter how good your video looks. I'm not watching that. Moving on, we have the Deliver tab is the last tab, and this is where we're going to go to render out our project. So what I'm going to recommend is that you work in the Edit tab. I know some people like the Cut tab. For me, I've never been a fan of the Cut tab, so I go straight to the Edit tab because that's where you can do the most amount of things. And I feel like if you start in the Cut tab, you're going to end up in the Edit tab anyway, because you just have the ability to do more things in the Edit tab. So right over here in the Edit tab, that's where you want to be, and that's where we're going to start this tutorial. All right, so you got this. You're still with me, hanging in there. You're doing great. So the first thing we want to do is bring in some media, right? So if you downloaded those free files, that's what you're going to want to bring in. That's what I'm bringing in. If you have any of your own files, you can bring those in too. No big deal. So first thing we want to do while we're in the Cut tab, we want to come to the Media pool right up here. And this is where we want to drag and drop our video files. So go find your video files. I grab mine, and all you have to do is drag it and then drop it right here into the Media pool. And boom, your files are already into DaVinci Resolve. Now, if your screen looks any different than mine for some reason, come on up to Workspace and reset UI layout. And this is going to make sure that you guys are looking at the same thing that I'm looking at on the screen here. A couple quick tips. You can look through your tips by just scrolling over top of them here. And you notice we've got two viewers. We've got one viewer on the left, which is going to be anything that you have in your media pool. When you double click on it to watch it, you're going to see it in your media pool. And on the right side, we're going to have our timeline. So if you're creating a timeline right now, we don't have anything in there, but if you did, you would see it over here. So you need to set up a timeline and get working in your project. Now, there is more information, you know, about how to set this up, frame rates, all that kind of stuff. So if you're not familiar with that, go check out that longer tutorial I mentioned. But if you want to just quickly set up a timeline, all you have to do is click on your footage, drag it down into the timeline area, and drop it. Now, if the frame rate for DaVinci Resolve is not the same as your project, it'll pop up a little note and it'll say, do you want to change your frame rate and project settings to match your clips? And you may even see this when you bring in those clips for the first time. So in that case, go ahead and hit yes if it's the frame rate that you want to use. And just like that, I've got my first clip here in DaVinci Resolve. Now I'm going to grab my headphones so I can hear what's going on in here. My trusty headphones. So now let's talk about these clips a little bit. What can we do with them? Well, you can do all kinds of stuff. Pretty much anything you can think of, you can do. Let's talk about the basic functions that you're going to want to do. I want to cut clips. I need to cut them up. I need to delete parts, and I need to edit together a video. How do I do it? Well, if you come over into your timeline, you can move your playhead to wherever you want to make a cut. So I can see I've got a bunch of stuff in the beginning here where I need to make a cut. Now, you can use your mouse to drag around the playhead. You can use your arrow keys to move frame by frame. You can use Shift plus the arrow keys to jump 1 second at a time. So you've got lots of options on how to move around your footage. You can hit the space bar to start playing through your footage, and you can hit space bar to stop playing through your footage. Now, just above the timeline here, we've got a few different things going on. You got different tools. This is your selector tool, which is going to be one of the important ones you're going to want to think about. And then you've got the blade tool here. And the blade tool is going to allow you to make cuts on your video. So if I click the blade tool, I can come down here, and anywhere that red line is, I can click and boom, it makes a cut. I can come to here, click, make a cut. So that's a great way to do it using the blade tool. Or you can use the keyboard shortcut, Command or Control B, and that's going to cut wherever your playhead is. So let's say you want to delete a clip. How do I do that? Well, if you click on your clip and you hit the backspace key, it's going to delete the clip, but it's not going to move anything else. So you'll have a little space in your timeline. Now, if I undo that and I select it again, this time if I use the delete key, which is on my keyboard, just a little smaller key right up over here. So if I use that key, then it's going to ripple delete. So it'll delete that clip and push everything over like this. So both of those are very handy and helpful to use when you're editing. Now, how do I zoom in and move around the timeline? A couple things you can do here. You can click on this, your timeline view options, and these are going to give you different ways to view things. You can turn your waveforms on and off. You can view your clips on different sizes, different track heights. You can change the height of them, and you can make it look however you want. The other thing that you can do is come over to these couple tools right over here. We have zoom the entire timeline. We have zoom to a detailed part of the timeline, which just zooms it in a little bit more. And then we've got this guy, so you can slide it to zoom wherever you want. And let's say I stop there. Well, if I'm on the full timeline, if I click this third icon right here, then it's going to zoom it into whatever I have this guy set at. So you've got options on how you can zoom around. Now, two more tools you want to make sure you have checked on right here, the magnet tool, as well as the link tool. They're going to help you when you're editing. The magnet tool just makes the playhead snap to things. So if I turn it off here, see it doesn't snap to my my cut there. If I turn it back on, boom, snaps right to the cut or right to the end of your clip. So that's going to help you in editing. Now, the link icon right here, that's going to help you keep your clips together. Your clips come in, your video and your audio are linked. Now, you want to keep them together. So when I have the link icon selected and it's highlighted, the audio and the video move together. Now, if I turn that off and I just select one of the clips, in this case, the video, I'm going to drag it and you can move them around separately. But notice you get this little red box with a couple numbers in it. That's going to tell you how far off your audio and your video are. So they should be like this, but if they're like this, that number is going to tell you how far apart they are. So if I select my clip, move it back, boom, everything's lined back up. Now, I want to keep them together, so I'm going to leave that link icon turned on. Now, zooming out, I want to add more clips to my timeline. How do I do that? Well, you can come up here and you can just select from your media pool, click on it and drag it and drop the whole clip in. That works out great. But let's say I've got a clip here. I'm going to double click it. It opens it in my source viewer here. Let's say I don't want the whole clip. I only want part of it. Well, in that case, we're going to use in and out points. So you would go to the part of your clip you want to start at. Right here, you've got in and out points. So I'm going to select in. You can also use I on your keyboard. And then I'm going to come ahead as far as I want. And then I'm going to hit the out point. So now when I click on this clip, if I click on it in the middle of the clip, it brings both the audio and the video. It's going to bring it right into my timeline. And when I put the playhead over it, we see it in my timeline window up over here. But you also have some other options. Let's say I got some sweet B-roll and I don't need the audio. I just want the video. Well, when I hover over the clip in the source viewer, you can see we've got two icons. This one allows you to bring just the video, and this one allows you to bring just the audio. So let's say just video, boom, drag it, drop it in my timeline, and there we go. I've dropped it right into my timeline. And zoom into my full timeline here. Now, since all these files are relatively short, and this is a little video that I'm going to put together here about how to take the battery out of your tractor, they're pretty easy. What I'm going to do is actually just delete those two files I brought in. So to delete files, I can just select them. And like I said, you either hit the backspace key or the delete key, depending on what you want it to do. So I'm going to hit the backspace key, actually. And now I'm just going to grab these files, and I'm just going to bring them all into the timeline. So to edit my project, I'm just going to come right to the beginning. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to use the space bar to play through the project. I'm going to use the blade tool to come in and make some cuts on my project here. And we're going to work together and put together this edit. So I'm going to do that real quick. It'll be done like that. I'm going to speed through it. So you guys try it, put your clips together a little bit. And if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Once you got that set, we're going to move on to the next section. All right, I just sped through that real quick. Now, here's a few tips if when you're trying to play back your video in Resolve, it's a little choppy, it's a little jumpy. Check this out. Come on up to the playback menu up top, and then you want to come down to Timeline Proxy Mode. Now, you've got options here that can change the resolution of just the playback. It's not going to affect your footage, just the playback, so that way it plays back easier on your computer. So you can select half resolution or quarter resolution, and that should make it play back smoother for you. The next thing you can try is come to Render Cache. And you want to make sure that this is set to Smart. So that's going to render certain things in the background when you stop working. And this just helps Resolve run smoother and do a better job of playing back your footage. The next big thing you might want to know about is how do I make modifications to my video clip or my audio clip? I need to zoom in. I need to make it bigger. I need to stabilize it. How do I do that? If you click on your clip, come on up to the inspector. And that is where you're going to be able to make a ton of adjustments right here in the Edit tab. In the first section, you've got Transform. And if any of these guys are closed, just double click them. It'll open up. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can change the positions left and right. You can rotate at angles. You can change the pitch and the yaw. Hey, look at that. I'm like a cone head. You can flip it. Smart reframe, don't worry about that for now. You've got cropping here if you need to crop your image. Dynamic zoom, if you turn that on, it'll automatically just zoom in or zoom out just a little bit on your image. So you can use that. Composite, you don't have to worry about that as a beginner. Speed change, you can click on that and you can quickly change the speed of your clip right here. So you can just come in and drag it up. I want to make it faster. I want to make it slower. You can change the speed of the clip right there. Of course, there's other ways to do it and probably better ways to do it, but you've got the option to do it right here if you want to. You've got stabilization right here, so that will allow you to stabilize your shaky handheld clips. So you just go ahead, click stabilize, boom, that's it, you're done. Lens corrections if you need it, and retime and scaling, don't even worry about that for now as a beginner, but these are important settings. You can learn about that later. If you're just getting started, don't worry about it. You want to work with your audio a little bit. Right here, you click on the audio tab, and now since both of our clips are selected, you can come in and adjust your volume, your pan, you can change the pitch of it a little bit. There's a basic EQ right here, although there's a more robust EQ in the Fairlight tab, but you want to do basic EQ, you could do that right here. If you want to do more advanced things, you got to jump over into Fairlight, but basic audio stuff you could do right here. Anytime you want to change anything, select that item, whether it's a clip, a picture, a transition, whatever it might be, jump into the inspector here, and you're going to be able to make some basic changes. Being able to adjust it right here in the inspector will actually take you pretty far in the program. You can even do keyframes and all that. I'm not going to cover that because that's more advanced, and if you're just getting started, don't worry about that either. You can learn about keyframes later when you get to that point in your process of editing. All right, so now you got this all set up. It looks good. You want to add some transitions, right? We all love some transitions. So how do we do that? Very easy here in Resolve. A lot of things, once you understand it, are very easy. So along the top of the screen here, we've got different menu options, and one of them is Effects, which is right next to our media pool. Go ahead and click on Effects. Now you can click on Media Pool and close it if you want. I'm going to do that just to make more room. So inside of Effects here, you want to make sure these little drop downs are open. You've got a toolbox with video transitions. You've got audio transitions, titles, generators, effects, other effects, audio effects, all kinds of stuff. Let's talk about transitions real quick. You take a look here, there's all kinds of transitions. And one of the cool things is if I put my playhead between two clips, I can get a preview of what it's going to look like if I drop that transition on here just by hovering over it and slowly moving my mouse back and forth. We can see in our timeline viewer over here, we can see what it looks like. Pretty sweet, right? And you've got different kinds of effects that you can do, or film strip, you know, whatever you want to do, you can do. So I'm going to do this one right here. I like the foreground wipe. To apply the effect, super easy. click on it, hold, drag, and drop it on top of two of your clips. So there you go. You got your transition on there, and you can do that for any clip in your timeline. Just drag and drop, drag and drop. It's pretty easy. Now, let's say in the beginning of my video here, I just want it to fade up, right? Right now, it's just starts and it's nice and bright like this. So I want it to fade in. How do we do that? Well, you got to make sure that your video clips are a decent size here. If you need to make them bigger, come to your timeline view options and make sure you got the middle one selected here. And if I hover my mouse over my clip, you can see we get this little handle there. Just drag that handle in as far as you want. Now it's going to fade in from black like this. Super easy, really quick to just fade in and out clips. And you can do it on both ends of your clip. So that's another way that you can use a transition without using one of the effects and dragging and dropping it. A couple other cool things. You want to set your audio levels good, right? So I've got all kinds of videos on audio and how to make it louder, quieter, where to set your levels, all that kind of stuff. But for now, all I'm going to tell you is that when you take a look at your audio clip, you can open your inspector, click on the audio tab. And then the other thing that you want to open that's going to help you out a lot here is the mixer. So right here, we got our mixer right at the top. Open that up. So when we play through our clip, you're actually going to see on the meter what our audio levels are. Here, check this out real quick.
Do real quick is just show you how to take the battery out of my John Deere tractor.
Okay, so we can see we're getting decent levels now for just speaking, vocals, vlog stuff, this kind of video, tutorial, whatever. You want to shoot to get your audio levels around that minus 10 dB, which would be right about here. If you need to adjust your audio levels, you can select your clip, adjust it in the inspector right here, and you can see our waveforms get bigger and smaller as we do that. Or you can come and hover over your clip, and if you get to the right spot, you'll get that icon, and you can just drag it up and down and change the levels that way. So you've got different ways to do it and adjust your audio levels because you want to make sure that we can hear you good in your video. And if you need to reset your audio, come to the inspector, double click on the volume, and it'll reset it to its default settings. So that'll work for anything in the inspector. You can just double click the name, or you can hit these little circle arrow icon guys. That's going to reset it for you as well. So in a nutshell, that's the edit tab. Jumping ahead real quick, let's say I want to change the color grading of my clip. I'm going to jump into the color panel here. Now this is set up with nodes, and you apply your color grading on different nodes. It gets super advanced. All I'm going to tell you now is if you want to make some adjustments, you can come in here, select a node, and then you can come down here and flip through all these different menus. You've got color wheels, which is where you can do most of your changes, change the hue and the lift, gamma, and gain, which is kind of like your shadows, your midtones, and your highlights. You can play with those. If you roll the wheels on the bottom, it's going to affect the overall tonal range of that particular, item. The lift in this case, it's going to bring up all the darks in my image. If I need it brighter, I can boost up the gain. If you want to just set it real quick and you got something that's white in your image, I can click on this little arrow guy here. Click on the sky. And let's say I want to do the same thing with the darks in the image. Need a little black, so maybe on my sweatshirt here. Boom. Not too shabby. And then I'm going to use this middle one, the gamma, to boost up my midtones a little bit. All right, not bad. You add a little contrast. Throw in a little saturation there. Hey, there you go. Not too bad, right? I want to see what it looked like before? You can click on this cool little rainbow-looking icon thing. I don't even know what it's called. Just click on that, a little before and after. And that's how you can start to work with your colors here in the color tab. If you want to add in another node so you don't have all your color information packed into one little area, select your node, right-click. We're going to say add a node and add a serial node. And then it'll put a new one. Then you can go in there and make any kind of adjustments that you want. And then you should be good to go. So there's a lot more going on here in the color tab, but this is just a real quick basic overview of how to work in the color tab here. Now jumping over into the Fairlight tab real quick. I love me some audio and I love working in the Fairlight tab here, but there's really not too much that you're going to need to do in here as you're getting started. Maybe once you get more comfortable with just editing your videos and you want to do more than just adjust the volume of your clip, you want to apply a little EQ, some dynamics, a little compression, multi-band compressor, you want a de-esser on there, some really cool different things that we can do. You want effects, you want echo, you want things like that. Then you're going to want to jump into Fairlight and work with that. And I've got videos on all that stuff. But for now, as a beginner, just starting out in Resolve, you don't have to worry about working here in the Fairlight tab. Just concentrate on the Edit tab, get that down solid, and then check out my channel for some more videos on how to work with these other tabs. Let's say your project is all done. You want to render it out. How do I do that? we're going to come to our Deliver tab right here. So looking at the Deliver tab, we've got our settings over here on the left, and that's going to be the settings we set to render out our project. We've got a viewer in the middle that just shows us what our video looks like. We've got our clips and then our timeline down here. So I want to render out the entire timeline. So in this section, make sure you have entire timeline selected. And over here in our settings, you can use one of the presets. There's a whole bunch of different things in here. Personally, I like some custom settings. I do have a video about best settings for exporting to YouTube. You can check out that video if you're interested, link above right here. But if you're just getting started, I'd recommend try one of the YouTube settings just to get your video exported, or you can try the H.264. That one should work out okay for you. For me, I did save some presets in here, and I've got a 1080 preset. You can see the settings I use on the screen here for a 1080 preset. So the only thing you want to do is make sure that you select your file path where you want it to save. So I'm going to do that real quick. So make sure you give your file a name. Once you've picked the location you want it to go, select all your settings, and then you want to click this icon right down here that says Add to Render Queue. It's going to pop it up over here in your rendering queue. And then to start rendering the project, just hit Render All, and then the project is going to start rendering. So that's the basics, high-level view of how you get started in Resolve here. I know it's quick. I didn't explain too much, but you just wanted to get going, and I think this is enough info to kind of get you going here. Now, real quick, a couple settings that are going to save you some heartache and some anger and frustration. We want to be able to live save, which means constantly save our project as we're working on it, as well as create backups in case something goes wrong. So Resolve will do all that in the background, but you got to turn it on. I think they might have changed it in some of the updates, but let's just double check it. Let's go on up into our preferences, DaVinci Resolve preferences. So that's going to open up your preferences here for you. We want to go to the user side, and then we've got project load and save right here. This section right here, we want to make sure live save is checked on, and we want to make sure backups are turned on. Very important, because at some point you're going to be working in Resolve, something might happen, might crash, power might go out. You don't want to lose your project. I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten people upset they lost all their work. You could also set how often you want it to do these things. That's up to you. I'm going to leave it at the default settings for now. And the only other thing you want to check here is make sure your computer's using all the power it can. So if you click on the system side here, memory and GPU, make sure you got these two guys cranked all the way up. I got mine cranked all the way up, and it's just going to help it run a little bit smoother. Now, another tip, if you're using the free version, it's not going to run as smooth as the studio version, which for $295, I believe, studio version is totally worth it if you're editing a lot of videos. Definitely pick up the studio version. But anyway, the free version, you can do almost all the same stuff there, minus a few things and a few effects and whatever. But it's very good, but it may run a little sluggish because it doesn't use any GPU power. So you might have this big, massive GPU in your computer, but if you got the free version of Resolve, it doesn't really make use of it so much. It mainly relies on the CPU, so that's one thing to keep in mind. All right, so that wraps it up. Like I said, there's a ton of other information and a ton of other things that you can learn and that are just gonna help you work better in Resolve. But for now, this is a high-level view. These are kind of some of the basics I taught my 9-year-old, and she was able to get going and make her first video. So I think this is plenty. Actually, I did give you guys a little bit more info, honestly. But you're going to be able to get your first project created, and at least start working in Resolve and generate some questions that you might have on how to do different things. So you can leave a comment down below. I'll try and answer it the best I can, or link you to another video on my channel. I got tons of videos on all this stuff, everything from beginner to advanced to settings. Like, I mean, pretty much if you got a question when you're getting started, I got a video on it. And if you don't have a video on it, I could probably point you to another awesome YouTuber who does. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys learned a little something. I hope this was helpful. If it was, could you give me a thumbs up on this video? Even 2 thumbs up. Can you do 2 thumbs up? I guess you can't do 2 thumbs up, but give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about DaVinci Resolve and you want to be notified when I put out new videos. Definitely hit that bell too. With that said, thank you so much for watching. My name is Jason Yudlowsky, and I will see you guys hopefully in the next video. Peace.